Now, BBC News has uncovered important new details about the Post Office scandal in which hundreds of sub-postmasters were wrongly prosecuted. We've analysed documents from 7 years ago which show the government knew the Post Office had suddenly abandoned a secret investigation into the faulty Horizon IT system, even though it was an investigation that could have helped the postmasters prove their innocence. Andy Verity is here with this exclusive report.
I've discovered in documents released through Freedom of Information requests, the Post Office commissioned no less than 3 secret reviews into its Horizon IT system, hoping to be assured that it was all fine and remote tinkering by Fujitsu couldn't cause sub-postmasters losses. But the first review in 2014 found Fujitsu could remotely create transactions and fake digital signatures to edit data on customers' purchases. Then in 2016, a review by top lawyers urged Post Office Chair Tim Parker to investigate further. So he commissioned the auditors Deloitte to go back through all the transactions since 1999 to find out how often it had happened and why. Government ministers Sajid Javid and Baroness Lucy Neville-Rolfe were informed the Post Office had appointed an independent person to address suggestions that branch accounts might have been remotely altered without sub-postmasters' knowledge. But when the Post Office learned sub-postmasters were going to court, it suddenly stopped Deloitte's investigation. And all of those reviews were covered up and kept secret from the courts at that time. Senapathy Narantiran, or Naran to his friends, was given a 3-year jail sentence based on evidence from the Horizon system, and its conviction still hasn't been quashed. If Deloitte's investigation into Horizon had been completed, it might have helped falsely accused sub-postmasters like him to prove something crucial, that the evidence used to jail them, Horizon's data on the cash in their branch accounts, couldn't be relied on.
Naran, hi.
Hi Andy, very nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I showed him the lawyer's recommendation that the Post Office must investigate how often remote fiddling happened, going back to 1999. Do you think they followed the QC's recommendations? What would be your guess?
Oh, if they would have followed it, then I wouldn't have been inside the prison.
Well, here's the thing. They did follow the recommendations.
They did.
They did. Deloitte spent 3 months, we've discovered, going back through transactions. So in March, they say we're doing the work. Deloitte's been appointed. In April, you launched your litigation, and in June, they stopped Deloitte completing the work.
Yeah. And by knowing all this, why do we waste our time in the prison and separate from the family? I don't know. Anyway, sorry, beg your pardon. It's very hard. Never mind.
Labour said our revelations from the confidential documents were greatly concerning.
Well, they're definitely very significant because this was one of the fundamental issues that was used to convict sub-postmasters, this access, remote access to accounts. So finding out a piece of information like this now has to be incredibly serious.
On the face of it, it discloses a conspiracy by the Post Office to pervert the course of justice. The important feature of all of this is that in 2014, it appears that the Post Office board was alive to the true position, and yet the Post Office board was responsible for maintaining and advancing the Post Office's defence to the claim in 2019. That was false.
A spokesperson for the Post Office said it was the public inquiry's role to reach conclusions on what happened. Sajid Javid was told the investigation was to look into suggestions branch accounts might have been remotely altered, not that lawyers have found they could be, as was Baroness Neville-Rolfe, who was also told about the investigation being stopped. She said she looked forward to explaining her involvement at the inquiry. Tim Parker said through his lawyers he sought and acted upon legal advice he was given, and the documents don't show evidence that David Cameron was told about the investigation. There's hope for Naran now that he may eventually get proper compensation, but alone and still officially branded a criminal, no amount of money could make up for the undeserved shame he and his family have wrongly been made to feel. Andy Verity, BBC News, Ramsgate.